Hey YouTube, thanks for checking out Fox Boss 9. Today we're going to be working on our new 2019 F250. This is going to be applicable to a lot of the F250s from 2017 to current. There's not a lot of stuff that's definitely shown to fit the 2019, but we know the body hasn't changed. So today I'm going to install a couple of mud flaps. The truck did not come with them. It was an option at the dealer, but it was a relatively expensive option, and I didn't like the way they looked. Now, there's a bunch of different options as far as which mud flaps you can go with, and one of the ones that I was really interested was the gator backs. However, once I saw the installation and what it looked like, I didn't like how many pieces there were, and I didn't like how much gap there was between pieces. They came up with this system that was like 3 brackets and spacers and all this crazy hardware to put mud flaps on. The mud flaps look nice, but I just didn't want to do that. I wanted to go with something simple, so that's why I went with Weathertech. Now we're on the porch because it's rather windy out there and it's a little bit cold, but this is part number 10065, and although you can't see it, it's 120065. So 120065, 110065, front and rears for the Super Duty, 2017 to 2019 Super Duty. You can see this one here only lists to 2018. Why I went with these is because no drill. That's right, they just use the existing hardware. It's all inside with whatever extra hardware you may need to mount it, and we're going to go do that now. We're working on the front mud flap at this time, in the front of the vehicle. Of course, the link is going to be down below for this. Click the link, it'll take you right to this. On Amazon, it's a good price. At that point, there's other options for buying, but click the link, it'll take you in there. And you want to verify your fit, but you want to double check that. If anything, go to Weathertech website. In this case, you can see it says check website for limitations. Let's go ahead and get inside here and show you what it comes with for the front, and then we'll put those on. I'll show you how to prepare for that, and then we'll go to the rear. All right, very simple as far as the front's concerned. You're only looking at mud flap for each side, an Allen wrench, and in this case, these parts are apart from each other. They should be together, but it looks like they just threw it in the box. I don't know what they did, but I'm kind of glad that they did, so you can see something. Whenever you're putting these on, these are cam actuators that engage into the fender, and it basically pinches the fender with this coated area right here, this heavily coated area. I thought this was like a rubbery thing that I could just peel off, but that is definitely on there. It's like a tool coating or something. And what you do is once they're on the vehicle, you just turn the cam to pinch the fender, the lip between this piece here and the mud flap itself, and then you tighten the screw. But you can see the screw is already treated with some sort of a Loctite, so we'll get into that whenever we're tightening it. I just wanted to show you that there is some sort of a vibration protection here, so once you have it tightened, this should glue it basically and not allow it to come back out. So first off, take a look at the mud flaps. They're not rubber, they're made of a hard plastic. They're marked right hand and left hand. Is that a problem? No, I don't think so. Would I rather have a hard rubber? Maybe, but I love the fact that these things, what they advertise, are laser measured and formed to fit, and they are. I mean, they even fit the smallest, little channel and everything that's already included from the factory. There's a plastic piece out there that this molds to, and of course that'd be harder to do with rubber as far as tolerances. And I just need something to keep the rocks and the mud up. Now I would think that if I'm spinning tires really hard and throwing rocks, there's potential I could throw a rock clean through this on the back or even on the front since it's 4-wheel drive. But it's heavy plastic. I mean, it's the same thing that you would get with a lot of vehicles. So not too concerned there. I like the quality as far as the fit, and the fact you don't have to drill is the main thing. So if you're looking for some sort of a rubber flap, no, that's not what this is. This is a hard ABS style plastic. It's really thick. It's not a thin plastic. I can tell that it's really thick here, and we're really cold today as far as the wind chill. It's not really cold outside. It's only about 36, but with the wind and everything, it feels a lot colder. And they're still flexible. I'm sure in the heat of the summer they'd be even more flexible, but As far as the look, I like them. So let's go ahead and start onto it and show you what it's going to take. See that I've got you positioned here as best I can. The lighting's not really great today, but we should be able to get a good idea what's going on. And of course, my truck's been driven. Not only has it been driven, it's been driven in some unfavorable conditions, a little bit of mud, and our driveway's a little muddy. It's just the way it is this time of year. So you want to clean this up. If yours is looking the same way, you want to clean some of this out, because you will be pinching that mud flap up against it, so you don't want a lot of dirt. Now, as far as this size of this bolt that's here and how to access it, when you're working on the right hand side, turn your wheels to the right. So start the vehicle, go ahead and turn your steering wheel to make it to where it's going to clear the tire, make it a little bit easier to get to. As far as this bolt size, it may be a 5.5 millimeter. I'm not sure as far as millimeters go, but I know a 6 millimeter is too big and a 5's too small. And I know that a lot of metrics, they have those half sizes when you get kind of small. But I'm using a 7/32 inch socket. So 7/32, and it fits. Now, I know Ford used to do some weird sizes like this years ago, and apparently they haven't stopped. So what we're going to do is go ahead and pull out the screws. Don't misplace them. Of course, you're going to reuse them. All right, so both of those screws are out, and you can see what they look like. Nothing fancy there, just a regular shouldered movable washer with a hex head. And now, as far as the cleaning, I'm going to go back into that a little bit more, just to make sure I don't have any weird debris or anything in here that I keep trapped for years to come. When you're placing the mud flap on the vehicle, you want this piece to be up and down. So let me go ahead and try to get this to turn for you so you can see what I'm talking about, because it is a little confusing. There we go. So it should look like that, up and down. That way, whenever you turn it, you're engaging it into the fender. We might have to massage it a little bit to make that work, but first we're going to get this back up in place. And you can see, you know, you've got this contour here and this contour here, and the flap, it has that provision right here. It's going to fit real nice and tight and utilize all of this plastic here from the factory. This plastic piece is all factory to contour in there. So I like that they use that for support. So we're going to go ahead and get this positioned as best as possible. There we go. Yeah, it locks up really nice. And we're going to go back to those screws. We're not going to run them all the way in, but we are going to get them started here to help hold the mud flap. So let's go ahead and, there we go, felt a little tug there, just a tiny bit. And the same with this side here. Now there's some sort of a lock nut washer that's on the inside from the factory that these screw into. Alright, so that's pretty good. Again, I don't want to go real tight quite yet. So now we're going to engage the locking piece that we have up and down, and you're going to have to kind of reach behind here and make it to where it gets behind the fender. And yeah, it's there, it's already there, so it's not near as difficult as I thought. So you're going to engage it basically on the back side. You're going to make it turn this way, and it's going to swing that rubber, that black coated piece, I shouldn't say rubber piece, that black coated piece underneath. Then at that point, this is the key that they provide to allow you to lock it up and snug everything up. So I'm going to just give it a little bit of a snug tight there, not very much, and check to make sure it's up behind the fender. It is. So now we can go ahead and tighten these. Not over tighten them. You don't want to break anything, but of course you don't want them to fall off either. And I'm sure that at some point you need to go back and check to make sure that these things have not worked their way loose. That's pretty good. Wow, that is solid. That is really solid. So that's on there, and looks pretty good. I like the way that it looks. It contours out just a little bit to keep some of the stuff off the fender, which is good because you can see I've been throwing stuff up on there. You know, the main reason I got this was I can't believe how much dirt gets thrown up on this factory running board. I mean, you can see back here, there's a little bit, but look, I got mud all the way up on the door here too. So that's going to protect it from doing that to some extent. Yeah, that looks really good. It's flush up against the vehicle. There's no gaps. That's nice. That is really, really nice. I'm excited. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and repeat this process on the other side, and then we're going to come back and we're going to talk about the rear ones. This one's fastened also. Same deal, really good fit. And I failed to mention on the other side, before you tighten these screws here, just lift up, straight up on the mud flap to make sure this thing is seated as far up as possible. Go ahead and snug these down a little bit, and then for this one up here, go ahead and make sure, again, it engages behind the fender by pushing back on it whenever you start to tighten that down. And that'll make sure it engages correctly. Okay, bound to the back one. Again, part number 120065, and again, the link is down below. This box looks like it's been beat up a little bit. Let's go ahead and open it up and show you what it looks like. We already see something that looks familiar, don't we? The same deal. We've got those same engaging tabs that need to be up and down before we place them up on the fender, but this one's going to be a little bit different. You actually have some hardware. You're going to be tightening some stuff, and you're going to be removing what I refer to as Christmas tree body plugs or trim plugs. I'll show you that here in a second. I'm sure they're going to break off because of how cold it is out here, but I can still show you what they look like. And then of course you got some washers and some nuts. Let's go ahead and show you the count on that and what it looks like. Basically, you're going to have 4 of everything. You're going to have 4 nuts. This requires a 7/16 inch wrench if they spin. I'll talk about that in a minute because they are serrated nuts. Then you need a Phillips screwdriver. They're saying a stubby Phillips screwdriver. That's for tire clearance, I'm sure, because tightening a screw where we're going to be tightening at is going to be kind of close. So 4 of those. Those look to be stainless. These washers are going to be what you see from the outside. These are the ones that slide over the screws. And then these are the inside ones to help with the nuts and the serration. So you've got 4 of each, except for another Allen wrench, because again, we need to tighten these here. I apologize for the lighting, but this is the only way I can get you on this angle. Oh, it's a tough shot. So these plugs, you got to remove them. If they break, not a big deal. They're not going to be reused. I've got a tool, a trim tool, but I don't even know if this will work. We'll have to see. We'll learn together. Yeah, it looks like it's trying to get underneath there. Sorta. Yeah, this is a tough one, just because of it being cold out today. Yeah, this thing's not wanting to come out too easy. We'll see here if this will work a little better. Once you get it out so far, you can use a pair of needle nose pliers, and that's what I'm going to end up doing. Now, this is all plastic, so you're not scratching your paint or anything. Even though these are bent nose, it doesn't make a difference. You can get them with whatever you want. We'll go ahead and try to work this out. Wow, this thing is stubborn. Way to go, Ford. You're making sure you don't take these off, or they don't fall off. What I could do if I wanted to at this point, and I might have to do that even. You're learning just as much as I am right now. Yeah, there we go. It came out. If you don't want to go through all that trouble like I just did, just pull it out far enough to get your side cutters in there and just clip off the head and push it in. It's just going to come out the backside. It's not going anywhere. So yeah, that's what you're trying to get rid of there, is this Christmas tree body plug. Now for the bottom one. Yep, same deal there. And that one was a lot easier. Okay, so now they're telling us that we need to position the mud flap in here, and again, push it up tight and start those screws and the nuts on the backside. And again, we're going to engage that lip catch on there too. So let's do that. As far as a stubby screwdriver, this is my stubby screwdriver. You know, they're actually wanting you to have a manual one, not a big deal. You can use a normal screwdriver that's what they call the stubby screwdriver. It's just the short, fat one. Everybody's seen them, and we hardly use them. But there is a decent amount of clearance here. Now, as far as I have the Goodyear Wranglers that came on this from the factory, as the truck only has 1,000 miles on it right now, and I know that I can get to this screw here, no problem with a regular screwdriver, straight on. So one, you can do okay. Now at this point, you can see the way I've got it positioned. I've got this screw with a black washer on it, and then I have a washer with a nut to the ready. The other ones I'll set off to the side here, and we'll get those in just a second. First, we're going to, again, make sure this is up and down, just like last time. And going to place it in its groove. That's the nice thing about these things. They're really formed. I mean, they just kind of lock right in there. So now that I've got it in position, what I want to do is pretty straightforward. You're going to put the screw head in the hole where that Christmas tree plug was, and then on the back side we're going to put the nut and washer. So I'm changing my angle up here a little bit. I hope this don't block too much of the view, but all I'm doing is holding the mud flap up against its form and putting it on the silver washer. And I've got rather large fumbly hands, so this is a little bit on the tight side for me. All right, I got the washer on, and my hands are very cold right now too. And now we've got to get the nut on, and that one's going to be a little bit more difficult for me. But my finger and thumb fit in there. Now normally what I would do is I would have my arm over in front of the camera even more than it currently is to get this, but just for you guys, trying to make sure you get the camera shot. All right, once that's in there, because that's a serrated nut on the back, you can see it's already catching. All right, so I have that just lightly tightened, and I don't have this tight yet. I'm gonna go ahead and start the bottom one. Same thing, through that same hole where that Christmas tree plug was, and then again, the washer and the nut. Now, if you don't have these inner fender wells in, it's going to be much easier to do. You can go from underneath and get them, but these inner fenders are blocking any kind of access to that screw. So it's going to be a little bit difficult to get this one in between the inner fender well covering, this plastic covering, and the mud flap and the fender mount. So I'm going to have to block the camera and put this on. Alright, it didn't take very long for me to do this. I suspect that the other side's going to be more difficult for me because I'm a righty, but I'm not going to be shooting that shot over there because it's the same process. So we're going to, again, just like we did in the front that I neglected to show you during the installation, we're going to lift the mud flap to make sure it's seated real nice and high, which it feels really good there. And then I'm going to go ahead and just hit this screw. And what happens is the nut eventually engages. See, just like that. That nut is serrated, so it's trying to catch hold of whatever it can, and that washer's right there, and there's not very much space, so it's pretty much engaged at this point on both the top and the bottom screws. Go ahead and get a little shot there. And now we're going to use our magic Allen wrench and twist this around first. Again, it's one of those things that you want to hold up against the fender to make sure that you get it behind the lip of the fender. You want that to engage on the back side. Then we're going to tighten this down. Yeah, you can hear it's actually grabbing onto it, and it's really putting it to it right now. And now that I've got this tight, it's all in position. This has been lifted up. I know that's in position. I'll go ahead and snug those nuts up. All right, now the reason I gave it kind of the juice there is because these things are sandwiching in between the aluminum. So I'm not pulling on plastic. That nut and that washer's on the other side of metal. So you can feel pretty confident that you can tighten a little bit more than normal. Now, if the nut, for whatever reason, spins, you can put a 7/16 inch wrench back there and hold it, and then tighten it from out here. And again, it's solid. It's on there. All right, so we're all installed. This is what they look like. The truck's really dirty, so excuse the Ohio salt, because we definitely have winter here. And yeah, they look good. I like the fact that they're just plain. I'm not a daddy's big rig, need to be printed on the Mudflap type guy, so I think that they contour well. They have just the perfect amount of overlap, and I think they're going to do much better than us just slinging crap on the back and the sides. Again, the links are going to be down below for this specific application. Just double check to make sure. I know that there's ones that are for fender flares. I don't know if it's the same or not. There may be a little bit different, so double check, but click the link. Once in there, you can look up and find your application. But they look really good. I liked it the way that they again contour, but they still overlap a little bit, just enough. Well, I appreciate you guys watching. Make sure to watch my other video where we increase the storage on this truck, and I added that tailgate dampener too. So whenever you open the tailgate, it's a soft drop. There's going to be a lot more modifications to this truck. We just got it, 1,000 miles. I've already done 3 of them. We got to put vent visors on this, and then I'll be talking about a bed rug and a cap. That'll be in the future. So if you have a 2019, you want to see how that stuff is done, go ahead and subscribe, and make sure you click the bell. That way you get notified every time I post a video. I don't know when I'm going to get into the engine, but eventually one day I will. As my old 460 truck, I'd done a ton of work on that one, and this one's going to see that too eventually. I appreciate it, guys. Thank you. Bye.